Hello and welcome back to Beanstack Tracker App Tips and Tricks with Ellsworth Public Library. In our first tutorial, we showed you how to find, download, and get started with the Beanstack Tracker app. We've shown you how to set up your account, and we've also shown you how to sign back in and given you a tour of this home page and the different pages that are a part of this app, the log page, discover page, and account page. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to show you how to log your reading and activities. So, to do so, we're going to start on our home page and click on the plus sign in the blue icon towards the bottom middle of our screen. And we are going to start by showing you how to log your reading. If you have more than one reader on your account, you will have to choose which reader you're going to log for. So we're going to start with our adult, and we are going to choose that reader. Then we will have this screen will pop up for logging methods, and we're going to walk through how to do each of these different ways of logging. So maybe you have been working on reading a novel and you want to include that title and everything on your account. So we could start by scanning an ISBN. And you may, the first time you do it, get a notification asking you to give permission for Beanstack to use your camera, because you use your camera to go ahead and scan an ISBN, and the book will come up. And, we can save that title. And you can, when you start reading, you can have reading sessions. So for example, I could start a reading session and you could use this timer to track how long you are reading. So you don't even have to worry about keeping track of that yourself. You can use this built-in timer to track that. So we're going to go ahead and click done and do next here. And then you can say whether you've finished or not finished the book, and we can kind of log out of here. So it will go ahead and log your reading for you kind of automatically. All right. Another way that you can log your reading of these choices is you can do a search for a title. So if you've been reading the Alice Network, you could put that in there. Maybe you've been reading a book and you want to just type in the title rather than do the ISBN. So we can look for this, and we can save this book as well. We could start a reading session. We could go ahead and log past reading that we have done on this book. So let's say yesterday I did some reading, so I'm going to do next. And I read for 30 minutes yesterday on this book, so I can click done and I can do next. You can put in what page you left off on if you'd like, and if not, you can just click next. We haven't finished, so we can finish logging. And then our stats will come up and we can see that our reading has been logged. All right, we have two more ways that we can log our reading for our adult reader. We can manually enter some information as well. So let's see, I finished the red address book, and you can put in the author if you'd like. If it just seems like too much work, just skip it. And So we can put that in. We can put in how many pages if we wanted to. If we don't track progress, we don't have to worry about that. So let's just save this book then. And we can again start a reading session, or we can log our past reading as I've shown you in the last two, or we can do a quick log as complete. And it will tell you that because we are an adult and we're tracking minutes rather than books read, we can just click yes, we can quick log this book, and we could go in and put in some other minutes for reading later on. And this last way is how we could record our minutes for reading the red address book. So let's say we spent time reading that about a week ago or so, and we finished that book on the 12th. It doesn't really matter what day you log your minutes. The library doesn't really care. Just log your minutes. We don't care what day you log them on. And we can say that we read for, I don't know, that book probably took us like 6 or so hours. So we can put in 360 minutes and click done and finish. And it will log those minutes of reading for us. And because of that, we can see that a banner has popped up that we've earned some badges within this challenge. So those are our 4 ways that you can, with the Tracker app, log your books. You will find that the app actually has more options for doing that than the computer version of this does. So you can kind of decide which one might work best for you. But the easiest and quickest way to log your reading is probably just using that last log a day minutes or pages. Because you don't have to worry about what day it is. You can just put in a certain number of minutes and move on with that. And then you can see on our homepage here that we've started to collect some statistics because we have been logging, and we can see our badges and our progress. All right, so let's go in and look at some of our other readers and tracking their reading. And I'm going to specifically look at the child, because a lot of times in our Ellsworth Public Library challenges for younger kids, we will, instead of logging minutes read, we will log books. And in our current challenge for Frozen February Fun, we are logging books read for ages 0 to 11. Partly because when you log for a 3-year-old, in this case, who is in 2 challenges, 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten and Frozen February Fun, it logs for both challenges, which means you don't have to do double logging, which is really, really great. But it does make things a little bit tricky because you're not logging the same things as an adult and a child. So for our child, we have the same logging methods that we can use. We can scan an ISBN, and I've got a title here that we can scan, and you can click save, and we can just log that as complete, and we will get credit for that book, for our child's book. So they have 1 book on their logging. Again, with our child, we can also search for a title, and recently read Owl Moon, so let's look for that title, and we can save that, and we can log that as complete, and there you have it. So it's really easy to do individual books for kids when you're logging by books. With these different methods. Again, you can manually enter a title. I'm totally blanking on titles. Let's see, Frog and Toad. So we read Frog and Toad. We don't need to track our progress because this is just a book. We can save and quick log that one is finished. And that's all logged. So we've got 4 books read for our child in this challenge, or in the challenges, the 1,000 books and the Frozen February Fun. Our last option for our child is to log day, minutes, or pages, but actually we're logging books for our child. So this is not actually going to be helpful because this is going to be minutes, unless you want to track how many minutes you've been reading. But for the purposes of our challenges, that would just be something you would do for yourself. Now, with our child challenges, and particularly with our Frozen February Fun this year, we included all the kids together. So ages 0 to 11 are logging books, and we know that older kids, maybe even 5-year-olds, some of them might be reading some longer books. They're not reading just picture books. They might be reading early chapter books. They might be reading graphic novels. They might be reading very large chapter books. And so a part of that challenge was that you could log 20 pages read as a book. And it's been a little bit challenging figuring out exactly how to do that. But if you have a child, maybe you even have a 3-year-old and you've been reading Little House on the Prairie to them out loud, or they've been listening to an audiobook, you can get credit for each 20 pages that you read of that. So my recommendation for that is to manually enter title information. And then for each 20 pages of a book that you read, for example, let's say we've been reading Harry Potter. Let's put in Harry Potter and we'll say part 1, which will be the first 20 pages of that book. We are going to not track our progress because we'll just count it as 20, for each 20 pages. So we'll save that. And you can go ahead and quick log that as complete. And that will get you a book read. And so for the next 20 pages that you read, you can log that as part 2. It's a little bit odious for chapter book readers maybe to do that. But I would just focus on finishing the whole book and then look at how many pages are in the book. So if it's a 200-page book, you would log 10 different books. And if you don't want to